Safety car? Yeah, we're not going to pit for the safety car 5 laps before the end of the race. That's not going to work out for us, but safety car is an interesting factor. Alright everybody, hello and welcome back to another episode on Motorsport Manager with me, Spacefish, and welcome back to the Tondela Grand Prix. In the last episode, we already had the training session going for ourselves. In the end, honestly not coming out with the worst results in the world, but we really all quite know just how representative these have been in the past, so we'll see just how well it is going to go for us today, because today is going to be race day. At the very end of the day, Hong is still injured, so that is a rather big drawback right there, and there is, well, just a whole host of issues in the room, including the potential for us to be fired from the team if we don't perform the part. So let's try our very best. We really need to catch up with the field, and let's hope that things are going to go somewhat alright for us today. But just quickly then, before we get started on that, if you're new around here, if you do happen to enjoy this episode, please make sure to smash that subscribe button right down below. That would mean the absolute world to me. We're trying very hard to reach 1,000 subscribers, and every single person truly does mean a lot to me. So thank you very much if you did that. And with that out of the way, let's get going and continue onwards. In terms of, I have painted my bedroom the same colours as your car. Other half's not happy. Understandable, man. Understandable. How has the wife not killed that dude at this point? Jesus Christ. Apparently, people are happy with our training or practice performance, but I don't know, at the end of the day, we've always had decent practice performances in the past, and when it came to the race, we just absolutely got messed up. So I'm not sure why that is really. Maybe the other teams are just not trying as hard and more focusing on collecting data or something. Maybe it's just our drivers being particularly good based on their skill set in practice. I've got no clue. It's very weird. Let's see, I guess, how we're going to do in the actual race then. So, in terms of the weather, I don't actually remember anything as to, how it was supposed to be. Currently, it's very nice and dry, and we don't see anything here, so let's see. Fingers crossed it'll stay that way, I guess. But, here's our old culprit, unfortunately. Still a dodgy neck for 1 week. So next race we should be good, which is at least some good news. For today, we're going to have to work like this. So, the question sort of kind of being, maybe also what, race trim we're definitely going to use on both ends here, right? But the question maybe also being how many laps we have, how many laps the tyres last for, especially maybe for Hong. 25 laps is the case, it seems, so yeah. It's great, isn't it? Maybe we should do the training sessions more in mediums, just based on how quickly we grind through these tyres, to be honest. It's insane. I mean, well, you can do one set of softs, and then we're going to have to do 2 sets of mediums for Hong. I'm not going to do a 3-stop here. That doesn't make too much sense in my mind. And for Andre, at the very end of the day, I'm not too sure it's going to be that much better. I think we're going to do the same thing for him here. So, at least we saw that beforehand. Maybe, though, given just how quickly we chew through tyres for the last races of the season, we should focus on gaining knowledge for the medium tyres instead of the softs. Not entirely sure. But what we're going to do is we're going to do Pit Stop Guru then, which is quite nice, 50% faster tyre changes is quite the bonus. So hopefully that's going to help, and then 15% overall performance increase. Same thing for Hong. I mean, technically we also have 1 second faster. I still haven't really quite looked at just how long the actual tyre change takes. So maybe if we get a bit of a option right there for that today, we are going to try our hand at that. I still have the feeling, though, that this is the better skill. Well, this is level 2. I mean, but I'm just quite sure that in general we take more than 2 seconds to change tyres, probably. I mean, this is not the highest league with the highest, best mechanics or something, maybe. somewhere down the line when we've got like mega crazy good mechanics, that will make sense. But for the time being, let's go choose that. In terms of the car setup, we had a bit of going back and forth the last time around, as far as I do remember, so not really improved here in terms of the downforce, I have to say. I'm tempted to just leave it on this. We could also try to, of course, push the downforce a bit up. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll give it like 0.2 degrees more. And, you know, just see what that does for us at the very end of the day, I suppose. And, you know, bring these back in, and that's going to be the way that we run the car for Gomez. So I think softs at the start of the race are going to be the way that we have to go. Given that we do assume that after 7 laps we can take Gomez in, 10 laps of fuel don't make sense, 9 laps of fuel maybe makes sense, depending on how well the car holds up. Let's hope that it does somewhat hold up nicely. So we're going to go and target that, and then maybe a little less fuel when we get in the later stages of the race, because we can probably not push Gomez's engine the entire way through. Hong then, on the other hand side, I mean, pretty much the same here as Gomez, to be honest. We're going to leave the great balance here, I think. We're going to go and give him like a tad bit more wing angle as well. Just kind of hoping to get that last bit of improvement out of that. Now, a little bit of tyre pressure lowering right there, and that should be good to go in terms of stats. Same deal, softs, 6 laps for him. Jesus Christ. So we're going to do 8 laps of fuel. For Hong, I mean, I'm quite sure that we're just going to push the max out of the engine the entire race, because we haven't spent all that time bringing that engine up to max reliability, and all the other parts up to max reliability for the matter, for no reason whatsoever. So that's definitely a given. Driver strategy for a start, I think, makes a lot of sense to put them on max everything. Then, like, the engine, we're going to calm down a little less. The tyres, we're going to calm down a little more. Let's get going. We're starting at the very front of the grid, at the very least, given our very dire position in the championship. But let's hope, fingers crossed, that they can somehow hold on to dear life and get us some decent amount of points today, because that is very much what we need. We're not even going to care that much for the sponsorship objective. We're just going to care for points for the time being, because really I want some. And Hong's actually overtaken Gomez, and Gomez is the one falling back this time around, which is interesting. Hong does actually have a form of 7.3, which is a start at the very least. So, liking that for the time being. Gomez is down to 6th spot. Hong is, for the time being, at least holding on to that 2nd spot. Straight line speed doesn't seem to be our best feat still, honestly, looking at things, but at least we do have the reliability to just push the engine in that regard like no tomorrow. So let's go and fast forward things a bit, not too crazy much for the time being, just kind of see how things end up. Gomez is kind of fighting for 6th spot currently, it seems, and then actually overtaking to 5th, which is beautiful. So we're going to go and get those tyres down to push for the time being, you know, already kind of calm down the tyre degradation so they don't give up too quickly on us. A lot of the AIs actually started on mediums here, which may be the reason that we're still holding on that well to our spots, so that's something to keep in mind. Hong at a forum at 8.0, which is pretty good. I mean, last race he was at 0, so literally 0.0, so yeah, I'll take anything higher than that, to be honest. Gomez has kind of fallen off a bit on his form, but he's still in the 4th spot too, so that is quite beautiful indeed, I do have to say. There we are on the start-finish line. The tyres are looking quite dire already indeed, so those are going down to neutral. Fuel-wise, I mean, we've got 4 laps remaining, don't we? Until we bring Hong in, and 5 for Andre, so there's a lot of fuel left here. Engine's still at 100%, not for Andre of course, because he starts at a different spot, but we're going to leave those engines just kind of pumping out that fuel, and then we're going to keep going like that, conserving the tyres a bit more, still going max straight line speed, and on we move. So in terms of tyres, what I find quite surprising is that we're not even that far off the medium tyres as some of these people. Maybe we're just kind of conserving them a bit better right now, but you know, that could be good for us. That here is not that great for us. Let's see, maybe he has the inside here. I mean, he should have the inside here on the next corner, so we'll see. Gomez can't get past Cruz. You are past Cruz. my dude. I'm confused about that radio message. In terms of this, 3 laps remaining, 3.88 laps of fuel. We'll stay at this fuel strategy for the time being, just pumping the fuel through. Same deal for Gomez. I think we're going to do that for another lap. And otherwise, I mean, I'm somewhat happy. The tyres are not looking too great. I think we'll have to tune them down another level potentially in a lap, but let's keep looking at that. Hong does ultimately lose out the spot to whoever that was, but it is what it is. 9.2 of a form. Insanity. Still, what's going on here? So I don't quite understand that one, right? Hong has got an insane. I mean, maybe it's just his fitness. Let's just call it his fitness kind of being an issue for him at the very end of the day. I do agree that the fuel is kind of going a little lower. So no, actually, let's keep things going like that for the time being. But what we are going to do when they are through these faster corners, because I don't really want to tamper rather with any of these overtakes, we're going to go and tune down the tyres to conserve. Now you can see just how much Hong is unfortunately falling off because of his low fitness. So it's a bit of a bummer because, well, you know, otherwise he's in the form of his life right now. But it's kind of just what it is, I guess. I guess it's also kind of just that the fitness affects him going over the long race distance, and the longer he goes, the more fatigued he gets from that at the very end of the day. I mean, I suppose that may be how it works. I'm not entirely sure of the mechanics, after all. I haven't programmed this game, but that's what it feels like. Now, in terms of fuel, 1 lap remaining for Hong, 1.16 laps, which is crazy. We're going to go and tune down the fuel strategy for Gomez, but Hong is very much going to go and come in this lap then. He's going to go for the mediums, which is going to give him 10 laps of tyres, which is quite crazy. So maybe we can push them a bit more at the end of the day. Maybe not. I think, like, the thing is, we need to go 9 laps with those tyres, or with one set of tyres, and 10 with another. So maybe we go a set of 10 laps now, and a set of 9 laps at the end for a little sprint at the end. I think that's going to be the strategy. Gonna go for fast on Hong. I mean, we gotta take every risk we can right now. I think we don't really have much of a way around that. I'm gonna leave his tyres and conserve for the time being. When we get to this, like, kind of corner combination, I'm just gonna kind of put him to attack them, basically. Don't, please, run out of fuel. That would be great. 0.9, 0.2. Oh god, that was like, that was not good. That was like, it was only like 0.2, 0.3 seconds less lost at the end of the day, but it's still not great. Can we pit for fresh tyres soon? We sure can, Andre. He's already passed it, is he? Yeah. So we can go and set him up to pit 2. We're going to go for medium tyres for him as well. We're going to go for max fuel for him as well. Park condition we're not going to change anything about. And we're going to go for a fast pit stop 2. So let's see just how well that works out for him. Now what I would like to look at a bit more in detail here, so when the pit stop starts, how long does it take to change? Okay. Maybe the 1 second overall less pit stop time is a little better, actually, than the 50% on the tyres. I feel like we just took, like, about a second on tyres there, which, you know, in the end means 2, but, like, it's kind of close, honestly. I think, out of the end of the day, we're probably, like, a bit better off. Jesus Christ, that's battle right there. Did you just push him off? He got pushed off the track. Oh no, scream to the stewards. Any Formula 1 fan here is gonna get what I'm talking about. We're gonna go leave Hong's engine at high only then, in order to not burn too much fuel at the end of the day. We don't really have any surplus, because he does need to go until the 16th lap now. And, well, he just kind of needs to make it through there. So, gonna make sure that that's the case. We're gonna go and push Gomez to high, or push, or whatever the strategy is called on the tyres now, kind of get him through too. And then we're going to see, I think there's going to be a good bunch of pit stops, at least on the softs this lap, and the mediums are going to take a while longer, so we'll see just how that part plays out for us at the very end of the day. For the time being, keep our fingers crossed for Gomez here. And complete. So he, on the other hand side, we could leave him going to laps. We have to kind of leave him going to lap 17, to be honest. I would leave him going only to lap 16, but that's the lap in which Hong pits. So he's got to do a long stint now as well. And then we kind of got to see just like how we can kind of control things at the very end of the day. I will go and put Hong's tyres to neutral already. I think we want to conserve them a bit, just so we can keep up with the rest when they actually get out there in a bit. Hong actually overtook Gomez in the pits, which is interesting, to say the least, I guess. At the end of the day, then it maybe doesn't make too much sense for him to overpush his tyres, given that his teammate is in front of him, and we don't really that badly want a fight between them. At the very end of the day, that doesn't really benefit the team either. So let's let him drive a bit, kind of just controlling the fuel, I guess, when they come in. There is a bunch of people in the pits now that are actually, nicely being overtaken somewhat. He's behind Sabado, which is a name I don't actually recall. Well, we'll see just where we end up at the very end of the day. There is a bunch of people here still with mediums that are certainly within reach after pits of Hong and Gomez. So we'll see just how that ends up for them. At the very end of the day, we're going to leave this engine on high a bit longer, but we will have to tune it down to medium soon to ensure that they can actually make the amount of laps we want them to make here. I'm really sad that Hong's fitness is this low. I mean, he's at 9.8 of a form, which is absolute insanity. He would be doing so well this very race if he didn't have that attribute right now, which is really, really unfortunate. Now, he did lose the sponsorship objective there for a quick second, and actually, the people in the pits already have more or less come out, which is not great. Woo, we have made a mistake right there. Doesn't seem like he really burned that much fuel. Does it? We're just going to hope that he didn't. And we're going to leave the engines and everything on neutral now as well. So that's that for a quick second. I mean, the thing is, the tyres are still burning to bits despite them being on neutral, which I feel is quite insane. And we're back down below the sponsorship objective. No! This is really not all too great currently. And in terms of the main field, I mean, like, we're at least still in a spot where we would kind of get some half-decent points. Oh, there goes the sponsorship objective again. 2 people back in the pits, and, you know, that's that. So, that's beautiful. That's at least something for us at the very end of the day. I'm going to just leave things running through a bit quicker here, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a few laps of them just going lap after lap after lap. We will maybe after this one have a little look at the fuel gauges, but it's not like we can really influence much of anything here, to be honest. 2 people have crashed out of the race. Hong is just barely holding on to that sponsorship objective, which we'll not even pay much attention to currently. I think we'll just pay attention to getting both cars ideally over the line at a somewhat decent spot on the grid. So that's that. We are at 3.88 laps for Hong, which is good. Why are we back at overtake? Did I mash some buttons? I think I'm hitting some buttons on the keyboard, maybe, that are kind of changing the strategy for Gomez. Is there any shortcuts for this? Please let me know down below in the comments if you know. Because I am quite certain that I haven't put this back up to overtake. So I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he just burned like an insane amount of fuel that we did not want him to burn. So, Jesus Christ, that's not great. That is really, really, really quite bad for us at the end of the day. Now, what we do also need to do, it seems, is kind of conserve tyres. And Hong, he's down to 36%. Which is not really doing well for our plans of getting him in the 16th lap. I mean, that's another 3 laps to go on 30% tyre. I'm going to go and hit back up there. I just kind of hope that works. I'm going to go put Andre down to conserve. Those tyre estimations were once more, I guess, wildly overestimating the amount of laps that they can actually go on those tyres. I'm really not liking that. At the end of the day, that really does not help us out. And, well, Gomez, rather, has lost another spot already. For Hong, he's at 2.94 laps of fuel, which is at least good. He has only used 6% of tyre this very lap, which is also quite good. So I'm at least happy with that. But we do need to keep him at this for... Well, no, quite frankly, 4 laps. Wait. Well, now 3 laps, because it's 14, 15, and then he needs to complete the 16th lap as well. No, that won't never work. Am I confused here? I mean, no, he's got the fuel for, like, yeah. Jesus Christ, okay. In terms of this, Gomez is at 16th. 16th, mate. Get your game on. Oh, God. Okay, I mean, you can't really get his game on by us limiting him that hard, I guess. At the end of the day, he does have a lot of tyre remaining, so I think we can at least get him back up to neutral. Hong is fine in terms of fuel. Gomez really isn't, though. So, at the end of the day, we'll have to go back him off on fuel. Maybe we can go and just push his cornering speed a bit in return and hope that that works out for him. Hong is going to have to stay on back up for those tyres for another lap, which is really not going to help us out here at the end of the day either. Oh, this race is going terribly. We were somewhat alright, but at the end of the day, we're always losing it when it comes to, like, just kind of lasting on tyres and fuel and everything compared to the AI. Okay, so that's the last lap. He can kind of just push everything out of that tyre that he's got. 1.05 laps of fuel remaining, so there's not really much of any leeway right there. And then with a 16th lap of the race also being finished, well, we could... I'm kind of, well... I mean, you can't really push that hard. That's the issue. Right, the fuel tanks are also quite small. We can push a bit, but we can't really push that hard. Let's see. At the end of the day, we can't really do that much more about it than kind of trying to micromanage the resources that we have, which, quite frankly, compared with the AI, doesn't seem like we have much of any to manage. But we'll see. We'll see. So, in terms of this, I think we're leaving the fuel where it is too, just to make sure that Tong is actually, you know, getting into the pits. We can have a little high boost at the end here. Yeah, I mean, 0.17 laps of fuel remaining. You can see how bad the Gomez is doing. He's going to have to stay on that strategy till the end. Gomez then coming into the pits too. We're not going to put him on softs. It's not going to last, honestly. It just is not going to last. We're going to... Looking at the parts condition, not for fuel on up to 9 laps, to 10 laps, but to 9. And we're going to pit him like that. Hong then... Doot. Out of the pits. Beautiful. Did actually overtake somebody in the pits, it seems. And we do now have a bit of fuel remaining. Mistake by the front jack, unfortunately. But that was like a minor mistake from what I saw there. Pit ranking 5th. You know, at least we're good in the pit ranking, I guess. It's kind of the only ranking that we're doing well in. We are going to go get those tyres on push for the time being. We're going to back off there quite quickly because we don't really have much of a choice. And then let's see. So this is where we are for the time being, and it's like a few people up here that have to do pits, including Gomez, who was behind Hong as far as I remember, right? So I guess we can kind of actually focus on, more like this being where we come out from. We'll see. Hong. We're going to go back off these tyres quickly, honestly. I don't really want to risk going into a similar situation that we just had. There comes Gomez. We're in 13th spot, it feels like, so... Can just some engine blow up or something, please? Really not happy with this. I am really not all too happy with this. At the end of the day... I'm not quite sure how the points distribution does look here, so we'll need to see just how much we get for the standing. I can't imagine it being that much, but at least we would be getting a few. We'll see. Can you check the engine readout? 38% already. Jesus Christ. Okay. We're going to go tune Hong's engine down to high and kind of leave it there. In terms of the tyres and the lap weight. No, that's fine in terms of fuel. I mean, we've got like 0.3 laps of excess fuel. For Gomez, we've got 0.7 laps of excess fuel, so we'll leave it on overtake for a bit more, tune it down to high, and then probably run it to normal so it doesn't blow up for us before the end of the race. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to tune those tyres down to normal as well. Make sure we don't run into a similar situation again with the tyres burning up, because that's apparently something that we very much like to do to ourselves somehow, or the car likes to do to us, or a combination of the two. Interesting one, that Milo right here seems to... Oh yeah, right, no, he just... pitted? Apparently. Banana here too, but they're done. And we are maybe going to overtake one. No! Oh, that was close. That was quite close, but not close enough at the end of the day. 0.15 laps, 0.28 laps, so both engines go down to high then for the time being. And the tyres will kind of just stay where they are, I feel. Safety car? Yeah, we're not going to put for the safety car 5 laps for the end of the race. That's not going to work out for us, but safety car is an interesting factor. I mean, for safety car, that's something that we've never had happen, is it? One more lap on the safety car at the end of the day means that we can go and conserve some of that fuel and some of those tyres very nicely. Maybe make a daring push at the very end here. Let's see, I guess. Alright, so I did have to place a little cut here, but as you can see, we are now coming into this safety car phase, which could be a very interesting one for us. I mean, it's only going to be for 1 lap, so that's something that remains to be seen at the very end of the day. We do need to catch up here, even with the rest of the field for a start, but we're going to try our best just to conserve here to the best of our abilities, fuel and tyres and everything else, and hope that we actually catch up with the safety car before it comes in. I mean, it still says 1 lap left, so I suppose that it's not coming in this very lap. So this is going to be very, very interesting, because we're going to have a lot of fuel remaining here. We're going to have a lot of tyre remaining. And, I mean, to my understanding, yeah, it seems to stay out for another lap here. So, okay, wow. We're going to go and, with the safety car heading to the garage, just speed up things. I mean, on top of that, you know, Marchetta apparently crashed, which I think is one of the higher up contenders. So Hong is currently in 12th spot, actually, in fact. We do have 22 is actually going to end behind the safety car technically, so it's going to be 3 laps left to go with a lot of fuel and a lot of tyre, honestly. I think we can just kind of push the max out of the cars the second this stuff starts. So let's kind of just watch out for when the safety car kind of starts getting ahead of the field, which I'm not entirely sure when that's going to happen. Sort of like there-ish, right? It went around the corner quite quickly, so I think we're going to assume that's going to head to the pits very soon. Yeah, you can see just it's taking off now, so we have everything maxed. And here goes the race once more. Hong goes down to 12th spot, unfortunately, not actually capitalizing on this start, and there he goes, being braked. Being brake checked by a guy before him, in front of him. At least he did not crash, and he is actually making it up into 11th spot now. Oh, quite the fierce battle there between Hong and somebody else, whoever that may be, Vananen, for 11th spot, but he is holding on to dear life. Somebody, I think, just yoinked off the track there for a quick second, and Hong is holding on to that 12th spot at least for the time being. Jesus Christ, I'm really not a good sports commentator, am I? 2.5 laps fuel left, so we're totally fine to just keep the engines maxed out. The tyres are good. We're going to keep things maxed till the very end here. Hong actually makes it into 11th, goes back into 12th. Oh my god. This is actually quite the tight fight for the sponsorship objective now. I'm quite surprised about it. We're just not quite getting there. It's so close. But there's people coming in from behind now, which is also a huge, huge issue, because we do need every single spot that we can hold on to. Gomez, in the meanwhile, has actually made up 1 spot for us, which is beautiful, and Hong is falling off of the rest of the field, so we're not getting that sponsorship objective, but can we at least hold on to that 12th spot, and maybe can Gomez get us 1 more beautiful spot in the end to kind of just slightly increase that standing for us, because that's so important at the very end of the day that we don't get fired here. What is happening? No! We ran out of fuel 1 turn before the end. I am so sad. We just lost like 3 spots there with Hong and 1 with Gomez. That could have really... I was so sure that the fuel was going to last till the end. Oh, we should have tuned down the engines by a tad bit there. At the end of the day, if we had, Hong would have probably lost 2 spots anyways. Another mistake. I am so annoyed about that ending, to be honest. At the end of the day, 15th and 16th spots, so it's technically more or less 7th spot on the grid of all the teams, I would say, which is something, but I'm so sad about that result right there. That is honestly so heartbreaking right there. Hong grabbing, well, some points for us then. Where do we go here? So Hong grabbing 6, Gomez grabbing 5, and the standings in terms of the teams, I mean, the drivers are still far back. We're in the 10th spot now. We are actually in the 10th spot instead of 9th. This is going terribly. Alright, but that's it for the race. I'm going to end it off right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button right down below for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new around here and haven't done so just yet, also please consider subscribing right down below, as well as smashing that bell icon in order to stay up to date on all the future upcoming episodes. And with all that out of the way, thanks so much for watching. And I'm hopefully going to see you in the next one. And hopefully we can rectify it then. Thanks so much. Ciao, everyone.